Hi, this is Kelly with Two Broads Talking Politics. This is the 10th episode of our Vote Her In series with author Rebecca Sive, where we look at the movement to elect our first woman president. Today we have a special guest joining us, Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky. You can catch all of the episodes on this series at twobroadstalkingpolitics.com/voteherin or in our regular feed anywhere podcasts are found. Hey everyone, this is Kelly with Two Broads Talking Politics. Today is the 10th episode of our Vote Her In series. I'm joined by my partner in this venture, Rebecca Sive. Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, Kelly.
And joining us today on the podcast is a special guest, Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky from Illinois. Hello, Congresswoman.
Hi, I'm so happy to be with you guys.
Yeah, we're thrilled to have you. So this podcast, Two Broads Talking Politics, is about organizing, is about regular people figuring out what to do, how to really get politics moving forward in this moment. So Rebecca, do you want to talk some about the Vote Her In series?
Well, there's no better example of what to do to vote her in of a leader than, I will say, my fearless leader and friend, Jan Schakowsky. So we're thrilled to have Jan here to talk about what all of us can do going forward to realize our dreams for more women elected in 2020 and going forward. So we're just going to jump right in with Jan and ask her to share with us, what she's seen in Illinois and traveling around the country at this kind of unprecedented moment in women's political life and mobilization. So Jan, just go for it, please.
I will. But first, let me just say, even this podcast, this conversation that we're having, is an illustration of all the so many millions, really, of things that are happening that are empowering women, that are informing and engaging women. Of course, you and I, Rebecca, have gone back a long way. We've seen a lot of changes, but I think we'd all have to agree this is a remarkable moment for women. The Women's March, of course, was the largest single gathering after that poorly attended inauguration. Was the largest single gathering of Americans in Washington, D.C., and of course, in the city of Chicago, 250,000 people. And if you add up all over the world, because there were marches all over the place when Donald Trump was inaugurated, after he was inaugurated, we're talking millions and millions of people, all led by women. And we're so happy to see that there was a diversity in that crowd in all different ways, including a lot of men. But it was the Women's March, and there were pundits and even elected officials, one who was a delegate in Virginia who said, I hope the march ends in time for the women to go home and cook dinner. Yeah. He no longer is a delegate, replaced by a woman who he really pissed off that day, 32-year-old African-American woman, and
right.
She is now representing that district. But there were pundits who said this is a one-off. The women are going to get tired. They're going to go home. And, of course, in Chicago, our second year march was even bigger than the first. And far from going home, we now have women leading the way in so many different ways. In the Congress of the United States, now we have 103 women, and 90 of us are Democrats. We're from all over the country. We're all different ages, starting, with AOC at 29 years old, Abby Finkenauer also at 29 from Iowa. It's a really beautiful thing that we're seeing women stand up and run and win and feel a sense of power. But I want to tell you, I think if you just take, for example, the challenges right now on women's reproductive rights,
Right.
I'm not afraid. I am not worried. I think that the Republicans have made this enormous political miscalculation. They have no clue what is going to erupt in this country. If they dare to overturn or close to overturn Roe v. Wade, women are poised. Women are not going to go back. I mean,
Right.
there's one of the I guess one of the posters that was at the Women's March, and you have it in your book. Women are not going back.
Right.
There is this absolute sense of empowerment right now that we're not going to be pushed around, that we're going to be at the table, at all of the tables, that we're going to organize our candidates. Some of us will be the candidates, and we're going to make the decisions. You know, witness Joe Biden having a flip. Yeah, not so well either. I didn't think his, now I'm for
40
getting rid of the
years
Hyde
later.
Amendment. It was not good, right? Kind of lame, I thought. And by the way, I just want to point out Joe Biden, who I personally like a lot. Joe Biden, as it turns out, tried to get free contraception out of the Affordable Care Act when he was the vice president. He argued against including as a free preventive service,
Right.
including contraception. Those days are over. This is a new era right now where women are really feeling empowered. Women are telling their stories. The Me Too movement. I was with Eve Ensler last night. The apology was she at Women and Children First. She, did a beautiful, beautiful presentation about the apology she wrote for her father, who's long gone, what he might have said that would satisfy her and the abuse. So, I mean, all of these things are converging at this moment right now and being reflected in every single arena where women are saying, no, it's our place now, and we're going to be making decisions.
Related to that, there are lessons to be learned and shared with women who are just now getting involved, and I know Kelly and Sophie have talked about this, and we wondered if you could share some of that. You know, people are telling their stories and being mobilized, but how do you think they ought to go about it? What are the key sort of activities that you feel we ought to engage in as we work over these next year and a half?
Well,
or
I
so?
think it would be smart to read your book, Rebecca. Both are in. Lots of plans and strategies, but it's about knowing. It starts with knowing your power and having a sense of sisterhood and not being alone, and that we can join together to make real change right now in our country. All the evidence is there. Join a group. You don't have to make up a group. You can join an indivisible group. You can join one of the many women's organizations. You can get involved in the big ones like Planned Parenthood or something in your neighborhood that is coming together because, we want our schools to be better, and on a local level. I've supported a number of candidates now, young women who have run for school board, and don't be mistaken, these are not unimportant offices. The idea of curricula are decided at a school board level. What are your kids actually going to be taught? Are they going to hear about the 72-year fight for women for women getting the vote? Are they going to be able to read Sojourner's amazing speech about a black woman who started as a slave and Ain't She a Woman became an author and a women's rights advocate? Knowing our history, his history has been largely a history of men and the men that have written it. But it's now time for us to feel our own individual power, our own collective power, to join something, to be involved. And nothing could be more important as far as I'm concerned, being involved in this upcoming 2020 election. We cannot any longer tolerate a misogynist. That's just one of maybe 100 things you could say about this president, racist, traitor, the horrible things that he's doing. This is a time that we have to demonstrate women power and get him out of office.
Yeah, I'm really struck as you're talking about sisterhood and collective power. You for a long time have celebrated that with your annual Ultimate Women's Power Lunch, bringing lots of women together. But I feel like we're almost in a new time, and I don't know if you're seeing this in Congress as well. But the women running for president, for instance, are all seeming to sort of support each other and not make attacks on each other. It seems like a lot of the women in Congress are friends and are showing that friendship. And at your most recent lunch, you had this amazing story about your history with Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley and the friendship that you now have. Do you sense that too? Is there more of a sisterhood? Is it just because of larger numbers that we're seeing that more?
We definitely are flexing our muscle in all kinds of fun ways. The fact that we wore white, for example, to the State of the Union address, forcing the president to make a comment about the record number of women, and we took over cheering for a while. Didn't want to settle down until we made it clear, yes, we are here, and we did it. So there, absolutely. The fact that every year I have my Ultimate Women's Power Lunch, it's always big, but 3,050 people showed up this year to hear Nancy Pelosi and to celebrate each other. That's the great thing about that event. But the numbers of women, and numbers, by the way, are important. I want to say to women, if the only thing that you do is show up, that's really important, because look at the contrast between how many people showed up for the inauguration versus the number of people who showed up at the Women's March the next day. Numbers matter. And if that's your first step, is just to go to a meeting or to go to a rally or to go to a town hall meeting, you don't have to be the one this time that asked the question, but maybe next time you'll want to pull it together and stand up and ask that question. It's exhilarating. It's exhilarating to exert power, and that is the other thing. You're talking about friendship and the women that are running, and I want to say to Hillary Clinton that in many ways she did break the glass ceiling, because there's very little comment really how unusual it is so many women are running for president of the United States of America. It's kind of, well, yeah, of course. Mm-hmm. And so she did that. She made that something that women do now, and yes, they are. We a number of us are also working to get pledges signed that say that during the campaigns that people won't really go after trying to tear each other to shreds, and that after a nominee is chosen, that all of the candidates support that nominee, which I think is important. But I do think that that women are expressing solidarity more and more visibly, and I think men are scared to death of women. I love that. I love it.
And related to that solidarity, Jan, there obviously you mentioned earlier the issue of reproductive rights and legalized abortion, but I wonder if you could talk from your vantage point in Congress and otherwise about the key issues that you think we ought to focus on as women when we're starting to organize or attend town halls or getting involved with campaigns.
Well, we certainly have to continue to fight to protect our to protect reproductive rights. The Republicans have chosen that as a battleground. And by the way, I mean, it's certainly not just a political issue, but I do think that we can win the Senate on that issue. I think Susan Collins for voting for Brett Kavanaugh, that is disqualifier. She voted for someone who was not only so intensely disrespectful of a woman in that in those public hearings, but clearly has the wrong view on women's rights up and down on everything. I think the fact that Doug Jones in Alabama is pro-choice is something that can carry him to victory, and I think that we can win the United States Senate on that issue. That they're anti-woman. Workplace issues and just life balance issues are so incredibly important. This is a time when we have to transform the workplace into a woman family friendly place, so that it's not only that we get equal pay for equal work, which we passed once again in the House of Representatives, but that we have child care that enables women to go to work, that we have schedules that work for real people and real families, that we raise the minimum wage. 2/3 of workers that get the minimum wage are women, and that's $7.25 at the national level. I'm glad that Illinois is raising it, but let's face it, even quite frankly, $15 an hour isn't going to get you very far. Income inequality really affects women. Things like Social Security and Medicare, definitely aging in general in many ways is a women's issue. That we're living longer. So all of those real life issues that women are facing. One thing about Social Security, women carry income inequality, wage inequality into retirement, of course, because Social Security is based on how much you have earned. And so their Social Security, average Social Security is something like $14,000 a year, and many more women than men actually rely on it for a big portion of their income. So, we have structural kinds of things that we need to change to really make our everyday lives equal with men's right now. We definitely need to work for voting rights. We're still fighting that fight. When the amendment passed that women won after a 72-year battle, won the right to vote, which is important too. That these aren't sprints; these are marathons that we have to be prepared to run. Although impatience is a good thing, and that's what I also feel right now. An impatience, I love that we're not going to wait another 72 years to get more of our rights. But when that legislation when the 19th Amendment was adopted, it didn't apply to African American women. It didn't apply to Native American women, and we still have to protect our voting rights and voting suppression in so many places. So this agenda is big. It's fundamental.
Right.
I think women are concerned about making sure that the planet is hospitable to their children and grandchildren and generations to come, even more than men are concerned about that. So there really isn't an issue that is not a woman's issue when it comes to just making life planet Earth better.
So, Jan, I know, speaking of a marathon as well as a sprint, I know you're on your usual trail here. So we wanted to just ask you before we close if there's sort of one final message, clarion call to the listeners that you would like to share, and to thank you again for sharing your wisdom and your thoughts with us.
So, again, I want to say act. And, Vote Her In is one place to kind of get a blueprint, and there are many opportunities, but act, do something. And if you think that, for example, people say, I don't have to write to you, I don't have to call you because I know you agree. It's helpful to demonstrate public support, even for elected officials that agree with you. Mm-hmm. So it's from just showing up, making phone calls. And by the way, I think the best way to influence a legislative office in Washington or in the state is phone calls, because it ties up the lines when people call, and it becomes evident in the office that something is really going on. But this is the moment for women to step up in every way, big and small, to get the sense of confidence that you deserve to have, so that we can make the changes that will help everyone, our sons as well as our daughters, our families, including everyone, and will make this country so much better than it is right now. I'm optimistic because I feel the woman power right now.
And on that note, thank you. Kelly, some final thank yous and parting words?
Yes, thank you so much. Is there anything you would like us to post on our website as a way to sort of call people to action?
Well, I think that if they make sure that they are in this battle on women's reproductive rights right now, I think that would be important. Mm-hmm. We passed a budget that we'd like the Senate to pass that does many of those things in terms of more money for child care and for equal pay. So, make sure you're in contact with your legislators.
Right. Excellent. Thank you so much, Jan. This was really exciting to talk to you.
I'm really, really grateful that you're doing this. Thank you.
The Vote Her In segment is a collaboration of Two Broads Talking Politics and author Rebecca Sive. Our theme song is called Are You Listening, off of the album Elephant-Shaped Trees by the band Immunuri, and we're using it with permission of the band. Our logo and other original artwork is by Matthew Weflin and was created for use by this podcast. You can contact us at twobroadstalkingpolitics@gmail.com or on Twitter or Facebook at Two Broads Talk. You can find all of our episodes at twobroadstalkingpolitics.com or anywhere podcasts are found.